music coming in. Why are we calling Baton Rouge on a Mississippi station?
He's from Tulsa.
Well, okay, I got you. Thank you. Yeah, Garth. Okay, all right. Northeast Oklahoma guy.
Yeah.
All right, okay, all right.
So that's
now it makes sense.
That's Will. He's in our studios in Jackson.
Well done. Okay, now I get it.
You've been an ESPN guy for a while, so you're good company, man.
20 years.
You recognize those words, what if I told you?
Of course.
What if I told you?
Right.
The Oklahoma Sooners found a home in the SEC.
Yeah, that's pretty darn cool, man. It's pretty cool. It's funny, man. I like to tell the story. My wife, I love her to death, but she wouldn't know the difference between a football and a hockey puck. And I remember we were unexpectedly pregnant in 2021 and have a beautiful little baby girl, or not baby, she's 3 now almost. But we're driving to one of her OB appointments, right?
Okay.
And we're in the car. Now, I can't go in still because of COVID restrictions or whatever, so I'm just sitting in the car, and I turn on ESPN radio. And she gets back in the car after her appointment, and there's this breaking news, right? Oklahoma and Texas are officially going to be members of the SEC. And she looks at me, and she goes, it's like, that's cool, right, for you? Like, that's good news, right? And I'm like, yeah, it's like it's damn cool for me. It's really good news. And it was kind of funny, and we spent another 30 minutes over Taco Bell, I think, actually talking about college sports, which we've never done, like ever done. And it was pretty
cool.
Go
to Taco Bell with you.
She likes the occasional Taco Bell run. Yeah, it's stupid. She's like skinny fat, right? Like, she looks great, but she eats like, crap sometimes. And then if I eat 2 tacos that look like I gained 30 pounds, quite frankly, it's BS, Richard. I got to tell you. But yeah, anyway, yes, this is like, I love what I do professionally, and now I get, a personal angle to this with my alma mater coming in. It's fantastic.
There's a part of this business that I feel like's changed a little bit. Forever, there was this. Nobody could be associated with the place with which they went to school. It was like, well, or if you're calling a game, well, he can't do that because he went to school at Ole Miss.
Yeah, I see you at a lot of Ole Miss games calling games.
I am. But I don't know if Scott Van Pelt gets credit for this or not. His line, hey, everybody's from somewhere.
That's right. That's 100% right.
And I'd like to think that most of us are professional enough that you can set that aside and do your job.
Correct.
And it makes it fun.
We just have fun with this stuff. Think over the years, 3 straight years, OU played in a playoff game against an SEC team, right? Georgia, Bama, LSU. They didn't win any of them, but we had great, fun conversations.
The Georgia game was fun.
Yeah, it was a great game. God, I felt like I was standing on the sideline when Sony Michel ran right by us. We were there for work. I felt like I got kicked right in the, you-know-what, man. Oh, God, did that hurt.
Right in the taco.
Stinchcomb was it right in a taco. Ring the bell. So, anyhow, yeah, we are. But we always joke about it all the time. Stinch and I had a great, had fun banter back and forth as Georgia and OU were getting ready to play. Everybody's from somewhere. You're exactly right. SVP, exactly right. We all love who we love. We grew up where we grew up. And we're all going to be professional in the way we handle it, but we're going to have a little fun with it, too. And we're not sitting here talking about, thank God we're not sitting here talking about, assassination attempts, real-life stuff. We're talking about sports. Let's just, if we get all worked up about who talks too much about what school, can we just chill out?
I don't want to just ask you about the same things that everybody else asks you about, so I was reading about you a little bit.
Uh-oh.
You worked, I don't know if this was first job out of college or not, news station in Kalispell, Montana,
first
which
job.
Means
yeah.
You were 30 minutes from, roughly, the entrance to Glacier National Park and Whitefish, Montana, one of the most beautiful places on planet Earth.
I lived in Whitefish, yeah. God, it's amazing.
Isn't it an incredible place?
You've been up there, I'm assuming?
We went 2 summers ago.
So did we. I took my son up there.
Really?
July of 2 summers ago, yeah. First week of July. First into the second week.
Yeah, I guess we were there at the exact same time.
No way!
We stayed up on Big Mountain, went with another family.
Yeah.
We started going west for the summer a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Not for the summer, but for a vacation
summer. Oh, it's beautiful. It's the prettiest place on earth.
And we were halfway up the mountain and watched the fireworks.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Oh, my God. Yeah. So I took him up there, and I hadn't been there since I left in 2000. So it was 22 years at that point I had not been there. It is, man. Anyone talk about God's country, that's it right there, man.
Yeah.
It's the prettiest place in the world. I took him up to Calgary, actually, because he wanted to go to Canada, right?
Yeah.
So we just drove up to
Go across the
drive
border
to Calgary. Yeah, and it's amazing up there, man. It was one of the coolest times of my life. I'd never lived in another state other than Oklahoma, and this news director of this little station up there calls me up, does a phone interview with me. I was one of 11 people that he interviewed, and he called me back. That was a Friday. He called me back the next Monday and offered me the job, and I said, I've been looking at a map to see where Kalispell is, and I'll be there whatever day you tell me to be there. And it was awesome.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Visiting with Dari Nowkhah from ESPN, the SEC Network. When you look at this upcoming season, give me a couple of storylines that excite you or interest you.
Wow, that's a great one. I think Ole Miss ends up in Atlanta.
Wow,
So
okay.
I'll be paying attention to that. OU and Texas, how do they handle the grind?
Let me interrupt you just
Yeah,
for a
go
second. The fascinating thing about that is, I guess that's still the goal, right? You want to play for a conference championship, and that means you finished in the top two. And if you finished in the top two, you're going to be in the playoff.
Correct.
But it's like the goal has shifted, and now it's like be one of the 12.
Yeah.
And that matters even more than just being one of the two.
But what if you're one of the two and you win that game, and now you've got to bye?
But
I have such mixed emotions about that because now you're not going to play a home
You don't get a
playoff
home
game.
Yeah.
And I think those 4 games on that opening week on playoff are going to be one of the coolest things that's ever happened in college football.
But what do you think Ole Miss would prefer?
Yeah, win a national championship. Sure.
But if you lose in the SEC championship, you get an extra game.
Yeah, yes.
So if Ole Miss were to face Georgia in the SEC championship and lose, they play an extra game.
They do. I mean,
this is heady stuff, by the way, for a guy that's been following Ole Miss since he was 8 years old.
Right? But, I don't know. Look,
I think they're going to be pretty good.
How do OU and Texas handle the grind? Everybody wants to put Texas in Atlanta. And I think Texas is really good. But, before we anoint them anything, I just want to see how they navigate the waters of an SEC schedule first. And theirs isn't that tough, relatively speaking. But how do they navigate that week in, week out grind? I don't want to put them in Atlanta until I see them do it. Ole Miss has done this. Ole Miss is really talented. Only got better, at least on paper. There's, I like Ole Miss a lot this year.
Yeah. What's Red River like? I've never done it.
Never done it?
Never done it in person. It certainly is on the bucket list.
Great, man. The fact that years ago they did not move it to Jerry World was
Greatest
huge
thing ever.
because they wanted the Jerry World wanted it. There were conversations about it. Yeah, it's the coolest thing, man. The 50-50 split, the state fair. You're drinking beer and eating corn dogs and whatever else is fried that you want. With Texas fans or OU. With the opposite fans. You're talking crap on the Ferris wheel. You're walking. Exactly right. And then you go in and two fan bases that don't like each other at all, but they're there for the same thing, and they realize how magical that rivalry is and can be, how great the game is, the setting is. It's awesome, man. The thing that has sucked over the years is that for so long it's been at 11 in the morning local time, and now it's at 2:30.
Yeah.
And that's going to make a huge difference too, I think, to the overall atmosphere, to the national audience for it. And by the way, that's a game like if you're a bettor, don't, because records don't matter. Rankings don't matter. When I was a student, the first one I ever went to was 1996. OU was 0-4. Miserable football team. Miserable. Texas was 4-1, I think. They were 10th or 11th in the country. And OU came from 11 down in the fourth quarter, ended up beating them in overtime.
Incredible.
And a now 1-4 Sooner team celebrating like they won the national title. Us fans in Crimson did not leave for an hour. And on the way out, there were Texas fans high-fiving us saying, "You guys might have just got John Makovic fired. Thank you." I mean, it is an incredible scene in Dallas.
Thanks so much for your time. Great to see you.